name is Chef Ski, James Woroneski, and this is Cooking with Ski.
Hello, my foodie friends. I just finished making this awesome Moroccan chicken sweet potato bisque. If you like what you see, go ahead and click the subscribe and hit the ring the bell. And we're going to go ahead and, first of all, I'm going to go and season both sides of the chicken thigh. Do it very liberally. Description of the mix is in the description for that. We'll make sure we got both sides of this because what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing two types of methods of cooking. So we're going to go ahead and start by making sure we got the chicken thighs seasoned up. Now that we got the chicken thighs all seasoned up, what we're going to do now is to go ahead and shallow fry the chicken. Make sure you have your oven and your pan that's large enough to go ahead and put your chicken in. We're going to go ahead and shallow fry that to crisp up the skin. About halfway through, we're going to go ahead and flip it because we want to go ahead and get a nice crisp. We want to get the flavor into the chicken. Once we're done, then we're going to go ahead and pull that chicken out, and we'll move on to the next step. Now that we've got the chicken all done, set on the side, now we're going to start building the bisque part of this. So you can always start with your onions. Onions, I'm not doing a fine dice because I'm going to be pureeing this later. What you're going to go ahead and do is a medium to large chop on those, but you always want to start rendering your onions first. That's what we're starting with. We're going to do the onions, and I'm also going to be bringing leeks and celery into this mix. We'll do that in a little bit. Now, a quick word about leeks. Leeks are of the onion family. They grow in the ground. So when you slice these thinly, you want to also wash them in the colander. Same thing with celery. Celery comes from the ground. So you want to wash both your leek and your celery before putting it in. Also, as you're building this foundation for this bisque, this soup, you want to season it up as you go step by step. Now that you have your onions, your leeks, and your celery pre-rendered, you want to add in your garlic. Now, again, this is getting pureed, so I'm just tossing in whole garlic. You want to go ahead and continue sauteing for a couple minutes until you start smelling the fragrant aroma of the garlic. Okay, now that we got the onions, leeks, celery, garlic all done, now we're adding in the potatoes, the sweet potatoes. Now these are medium diced, peeled and medium diced. We're going to go ahead and stir these in, let them go ahead and get a little bit of the flavor. And eventually what we're going to do is go ahead and cook these down to tender, and then we'll go ahead and show you the next step of that. What we're going to be doing now is going to be putting a cup of flour in. What the flour is going to do is going to be the thickening agent for the soup to be able to make this bisque. So you want to go ahead and stir it. Go ahead and get all completely mixed in and around all the ingredients that are in there. Now we're going to add a little bit more seasoning into it. And now what we're doing, we're going to check to make sure that this is all mixed in. And it should start to feel a little pasty. And again, add a little bit of pepper into it. A little bit of pastiness because you got a little bit, you got the flour in there. That's the thickening agent. As we're mixing this up, it's going to start looking like kind of like a mash, so to speak. But this is all the way it's supposed to be. Now what I'm adding in is a can of whole tomatoes. We're still continuing to build the base, the foundation of this bisque. We're going to be using whole tomatoes and also going to be backing it up and fortifying it with tomato sauce. So what I'm working on now is building texture and flavor. Now, as I just mentioned, friends, we put the whole tomatoes in. Now I'm backing it up with tomato sauce. This is going to add a little bit more flavor to it, a little bit more texture, and begin adding a little bit of moisture into this bisque. Now I'm going to be building the soup part of this. We've added in flavor, texture. Now we're adding in the moisture, the liquid, which is going to be chicken broth. This is actually, I believe I'm putting in 2 quarts of chicken broth into this. But you'll see how this all pulls together as we get through this. And now that I got all the broth put in, it's time to go ahead and stir it all up, because remember, we got all the onions, leeks, celery, garlic, all that flour that we need to start mixing it up so they can go ahead and start thickening together evenly and properly. In order for the soup or bisque to thicken, you need to go ahead and bring it up to a boil and then reduce it back down to a simmer and let it slow cook. Now remember that chicken we took out? We set off the side. We're putting it right back in again, and we're going to let the chicken with all the seasoning and everything on it help season up this and continue to cook in this pot. Oh yes, let's not forget the drippings. That's flavor too. Flavorful bisque. Now we're bringing it up to a slow boil. Once we got it up to a boil, then we're going to reduce it down to a simmer. So we go ahead and get all these flavors begin to get happy and merry with each other. Now that we're down to a slow bubble, it's just allow it to go ahead and cook, marry, and thicken up at this point. We've built all the flavors, texture. Now it's just building the base of this. It's going to be really good. Now that we got everything kind of bubbling, going, we're going to pull the chicken one more time. We got another step to go with this. So go ahead and pull out this. You can see I'm pulling out the chicken, and then we're going to go and I'm going to show you the next step of this. You're going to like it. It's really good. Here's the fun part, the reason we took the chicken out. You can either do this in a blender, or I've got a stick blender, and what we're going to do is now begin to purify, or puree all the sweet potatoes, leeks, onions, celery. Going to puree all this, and then once we get this done, then I'm going to go ahead and strain it to give us a really clean, silky, smooth bisque. So stay tuned, and this is now cooking. As you can see, I absolutely love old world European style cooking. Now you're not going to get this in a restaurant or a fast food joint. So what we're doing right now is I am pureeing this mix. Now it has all the pulp that's still in it. That's still there. We'll get that later. Now, how much you puree this soup, this bisque, is up to you. It's your soup. A lot of people kind of like to leave a little bit of chunks into it. I kind of want to bring it down to a very silky, smooth, and you'll see. Now, I forgot to go ahead and show this part, but I have strained out this bisque. All the pulp has already been strained out to it. So this is the results. This is a clean bisque going in right now. And you see I'm putting the chicken back in because we still have a little bit of work to do on this, but we're getting pretty close to this. So now we have the bisque made up. We're putting the chicken back in. We're going to continue to saute to cook a little bit longer. Then we're going to be adding in the cream. Now here's the secret ingredient, what you're seeing me putting in right now: dried apricots. The apricots going to bring a little bit of a fruity flavor to this. They're not very sweet. It's just going to bring a nice balance to this bisque right now because we've got a lot of acidic into it. So we're going to kind of balance this out a little bit with a little fruitiness from the dried apricots. And what I've added in now is the cream. And we're going to go ahead and stir this up, combine it. This is now the bisque part of it. A bisque is the cream. That's the French word for it. So bisque is French for cream. Now we're allowed to go ahead and continue simmering a little bit. It's time to go ahead and remove this chicken. And this is going to be the last time we're going to be pulling the chicken. So it's given its all. And also it's allowed time for the apricots to break down a little bit and release some of that apricot flavor. And I'll show you what we'll get ready to do with the chicken down the road just a bit. But yeah, we're removing the chicken. It's given its all. This chicken has a lot of flavor, extremely moist, falling off the bone. Now that I've got the chicken all that pulled, what I'm going to be doing now is going to be putting it onto my cutting board. First is I'm going to be removing that skin. I don't want that skin. The next part I'll be doing that. Guess what? That skin has given its all great flavor, great all that. It's been imparted into the soup. I don't want the skin as part of it now. That's great for your puppy dogs. In my case, my sous chefs. They absolutely love that skin. So we're going ahead and pull the, remove the skin. Then we're actually going to be pulling the meat from the bones. I don't want the bones and I don't want the skin part of this, but I do want that meat. Okay, now I got the skin removed. I found out it was a little bit on the warm side, so I went ahead and let it sit so to go ahead and cool down enough for me to go ahead and begin pulling the meat off the chicken. And yes, I couldn't help that. No, I don't make a hat. I don't suggest doing that, but it's your food. If you want to do a finger licking test, go right ahead. It's your food, but it's good. It's really good. So as you've seen, I'm picking through the meat. I'm taking out the cartilage. I'm taking out the bones, setting them off to the side, and then make sure I get all the meat picked through that. Having gotten all the bones and skin and everything removed, now I'm going to go ahead and start breaking this up into, cutting this up into spoon-sized pieces. You want to have everything that fit on the size of a spoon, so when you go and eat it, everything fits right there in that spoon. So that's what you're seeing me doing right now, is that I am beginning to cut this up. It's kind of pulled, but it's not like if you go to commercial and you get one of their lobster bisque or something like that, you have a hard time looking for it. I know they say there's lobster in here, but you can't find it. You want to leave some texture into it. You want to leave some size into it, but you want to be able to have everything fit onto a spoon. So that's what you're doing right now, is cutting this up, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to re-season one more time, and I'll show you when I do that. Yes, we've been seasoning all the way through this. What I like to do now is come back, now that we got the chicken and everything. This is actually chicken that's going to be going back in. Is go ahead and re-season the chicken one more time, kind of mix it all up. Go ahead and just kind of keep building on the flavor. This dish is really bold and flavorful. It's kind of smoky, but it's not really hot. Now what I like to do is go ahead and hold back a little bit of that chicken for garnish. You'll see in a minute what I talk about. But we're going to put this all back into the bisque. Such we're pretty much there right now. Go ahead and mix it all in. And then we're just going to let it simmer just for about maybe 10 minutes. And then we'll go ahead and plate this up. And you're going to have, see, one heck of a flavorful dish. Now right now, as I plated this up, you see what I've done is I have a little bit of the chicken, got a little bit of onion, a little bit of apricot. And if you enjoyed this, go ahead and click on the like button and subscribe, and you have a wonderful day.